Let's get real. Who actually runs the world? Is it a secret society, Beyoncé, or something more mundane? The real answer, it's the G7, a club of the world's richest democracies. Think of them as the planet's self-appointed board of directors, making decisions that shape our daily lives. The members? The US, UK, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, and Canada. They talk about freedom and progress, but clubs exist to benefit their members first. Scratch the surface, and you find a long, messy history. These are former empires, not just rich countries. Their pasts are built on colonization, conquest, and exploitation. The echoes of that history still shape global inequalities today. So can a club founded on empire really be a force for good? Or is it just the old colonial system with a new name and better PR? Let's pull back the curtain and see what's really going on. To understand the G7, you have to understand their past, and it's not pretty. Their wealth didn't just come from hard work. It was built on stolen resources and forced labor. For centuries, G7 countries colonized vast parts of the world, extracting wealth and leaving chaos behind. They redrew borders, dismantled local industries, and forced cash crops, creating cycles of dependency. The Industrial Revolution, fueled by cotton from slave plantations and profits from the slave trade. Progress in London or Paris was inseparable from exploitation in places like India or the Caribbean. This legacy doesn't disappear with independence. The global systems built then still benefit the G7 today. They wrote the rules and still hold the power. So when they talk about fixing inequality, it's like an arsonist offering to sell you a bucket of water. The G7's dominance is rooted in a history of extraction and control. That's the foundation of the world order we live in. Let's get specific. Every G7 member has a dark chapter. The UK ruled over a quarter of the world, deindustrializing India and causing famines while exporting grain. France's empire in Africa and Asia was brutal, with wars for independence and ongoing economic control through systems like the CFA franc. Germany and Italy, late to empire, made up for it with violence. Genocide in Namibia, chemical weapons in Ethiopia. Japan's empire brought forced labor and atrocities across Asia. The US expanded westward, displacing Native Americans, then projected power through interventions in Latin America and beyond. Canada's history includes residential schools and the forced assimilation of indigenous peoples. These aren't just old stories, they're foundational traumas. The G7 got rich by taking, not just making. Their power is built on exploitation, not just innovation. The past isn't past. It's the blueprint for today's global order. That's the real legacy of the G7. The G7 loves to tout its generosity, foreign aid, development projects, global health campaigns. But much of this aid comes with strings attached, tied aid that requires hiring their companies and buying their products. Most of the money circles back to the donor nations. Big infrastructure projects often benefit multinationals more than local people, sometimes displacing communities. The technology and systems they promote create new dependencies on G7 corporations. Their charity is often strategic investment, not pure goodwill. It's about maintaining influence, opening markets, and securing resources. The power dynamic stays the same, just with a friendlier face. They aren't just giving, they're selling solutions that keep others dependent. The G7's generosity is often just another form of control. The G7 claims to manage the planet, but their record is full of failures. The 2008 financial crisis, born from their reckless banking systems. Everyone paid, but the poorest suffered most. The Iraq War, led by the US and UK, destabilized a region and created chaos that still echoes today. On climate change, the G7 are the biggest historical polluters, yet they lecture others while subsidizing their own fossil fuels. Their climate promises are slow and often fall short. During COVID-19, they hoarded vaccines and blocked patent waivers, treating a global crisis as a competition. Their interventions often leave more chaos than solutions. These aren't just mistakes, they're choices with global consequences. The G7's leadership often means others pay the price. Their failures reveal the limits and dangers of their control. The world's saviors keep stumbling, but others bear the cost. That's the reality behind the headlines. How does the G7 keep its grip today? Debt is a powerful tool. Through the IMF and World Bank, where they hold the most power, they impose harsh conditions on struggling countries. These structural adjustments force cuts to health and education, and the sell-off of national assets, often to G7 corporations. It's colonialism by spreadsheet, trapping countries in cycles of dependency. The G7 also props up dictators and repressive regimes when it suits their interests, protecting profits, not people. They've backed coups, sold weapons, and turned a blind eye to abuses. Modern slavery and exploitation in global supply chains are direct results of this system. The rhetoric of democracy crumbles when money's on the line. The G7's real priority, maintaining their dominance whatever the cost. The hustle continues, just with new tools. So what have we uncovered about the G7? They're not just world leaders, they're modern empires, still playing the same game with new rules. Their wealth and power are built on extraction, exploitation, and a global system rigged in their favor. Their acts of generosity often mask the damage their policies cause. For every school built, there's a budget cut. For every vaccine donated, a patent protected. They're not saviors. They're the architects of a system that keeps wealth flowing north. The G7's family photo is a snapshot of history, power, and inequality. Don't just accept the narrative, question it. The world doesn't need saviors who act like masters. It needs a fair, just, and equitable system for all. Recognizing the G7 for what it is, the modern face of empire, is the first step to real change. The story isn't over, but it's time to write a new chapter. Mic drop.